Sippers, welcome to the Friday episode of the Tea With Me podcast. Welcome. I'm wearing a fleece, as you can see if you're watching the video version of this podcast on YouTube. Enjoy that. I just felt like I had to look a little bit respectable today, because I've been dressing like some sort of American high school kid called Chad. During the summer, I've been wearing a lot of shorts, sports shorts, flip-flops, vests, caps back to front. I've actually turned into this guy, Chad. I'm sort of like getting way too into the character. I keep going, Mom! It's weird because my mom's quarantined literally about 30 miles away. But still enjoyable. I'm wearing a pair of jeans today as well because I actually recorded a Tea With Me episode today with a, let's say, film star guest. Okay, let's just say that's going to be coming out next week. I've already put a picture up of who it is. It's Jamie Dornan, because I can't hold my piss. And I was like, maybe I'll just drop the episode on the day. And then 3 minutes after I recorded it, I went, do you know what? That's good to go immediately. So that's coming out next week. Also an episode with Wayne McCullough, the boxer. Wayne McCullough is originally from the Shankill, and he boxed for the Ireland team at the Olympics. We'll sort of get into that a wee bit because you're not going to believe this, but things got a bit political whenever a guy from the Shankill decided he was going to box for Ireland at the Olympics. And they said to him, will you hold the Irish flag at the opening ceremony? And he went, why the fuck not? And some people lost their minds. So we talk about that. Today's episode of the podcast is again with a guest. Next week, I think I'll maybe next Friday, two guest ones next week. The week after I'll maybe do two by myself, but I've got a guest for this episode too. My guest for this episode is Cormac MacDiarmada. Okay, or for people who are Protestant, Cormac McDermott. Now, Cormac is a guy who goes by many aliases, because he keeps getting banned from Facebook. We go into that. You might know Cormac from the Notorious Barrack Boys, or as is now known, the Notorious Barrack Boy. What a great rebrand, which is his page on Facebook and Twitter and all that kind of thing. Cormac's been putting out phenomenal jokes for years online now, and in the last while he started getting into stand-up, and we chat about that and a film that he's trying to make. He put out a crowdfunding thing, I think he said maybe 4 years ago, and only now is he kind of getting closer to making that film. So I was really interested to chat to him about that and kind of say, is he casting some sort of sexy boy, in which case I might know a guy and it's me. So yeah, we got into it. We had a chat about that and then everything in between. That's kind of what this podcast is. What brings us together? It's mainly me at the start going to guests, do you drink tea, mate? And then the next hour is me talking about anything that comes into my head, their heads. We talked a little bit about gaming as well. Now don't go, but I actually don't. No, I was going to say don't go, I don't like gaming, but that's the way gamers talk, so you wouldn't be saying that. If you don't like games, you'd be like, bro, I don't even like gaming, because you might be like a little bit of a hipster. I've never owned a console in my entire life. Okay, that's a spoiler alert for this episode. We talk about games. Cormac tries to get me into gaming a bit, and we realise that we both have played one of the same games before, which is enjoyable. Shout out to the Butler. And that's not Aaron Butler, by the way. It's a Butler in the game. But also, let's shout out Aaron Butler. Guys, we're also going to do quick charity appeal in the middle of the podcast. It's just like a minute long. We shout out a good local cause because, hey, sponsors are not around at the minute. So that's what we're going to do. And if you want to subscribe to the podcast, you can do on Apple Podcasts or wherever. It's everywhere, You open up your granny's pantry. Oh, kinky. Open up your granny's pantry. It's there. Check behind your uncle's ear. What's that? The podcast. Okay? It's everywhere. That's what we're doing. Okay, again, got a little bit Trump there. Okay. This guy, shit-head loser. He's everywhere. So check out the podcast anywhere, everywhere. The video version is on YouTube. And if you want to leave me maybe some sort of like sexy little review on Apple Podcasts, I would appreciate that because we're flying up that chart Okay, and that's case in point why I don't do sound effects. That's that sounded like whenever you blow up a medicine ball, like a yoga ball, and then you let it out for a second. I mean, I did this morning. You let it out for a second before you put the wee pin into it. So yeah, that was martial arts there. I don't know why I did that. Look, I'm delaying the inevitable. The inevitable is the Tea with Me episode with my friend Cormac MacDiarmada. Well, I was going to ask it. That was going to be my first question, but you sort of beat me to it. Do you drink tea? Are you a tea drinker?
Yes, I was a big, huge tea drinker back in the day. With my mum, me and her used to always drink tea. Since I moved out of the house, I don't keep up as much. I kind of changed up the coffee quite a bit. But the way I take my tea is just straight up black, and I
Oh
get a lot of
yeah.
flack for it. A lot of flack, a lot of flack.
I was waiting for a real emotional story there. You were like, I used to drink tea with my mom, and like Coldplay was going to start playing in the background. So you've all
Yeah, like a now Barry tea bag brings a tear to my eye of like a sweet dear memory of mum. No, I just drank it black.
and your ma actually left. She ran away with a fella called Barry, ironically.
She
So
did, yeah. Left with
like,
Barry, left me just drinking, crying in the black tea.
what what's your what's your lockdown situation? Where are you? What are you doing? How are you filling your days?
At the minute, it's not too bad for me. So I have like my own house, and my housemate has just recently moved out, so I have like the complete
Thought you
place to myself.
thought you were about to say passed away.
Passed away, yeah. Put him in the brown bin there, so I'm just waiting for him to be taken out. All good. Didn't get the lid closed on, but whatever.
I actually think it's
Um,
I
no,
think it's
that's
the blue bin now you put them in.
oh Jesus, is it?
Yeah.
Just hacksaw them up, put them in a few. It's slide a bit into the black bin, no one will notice. That's
So
dog meat, you header. What are you talking about?
so are you just so you're just in the house totally by yourself?
I Yeah, I am in the house by myself, but I do like quite a lot of running. So like I use the one run a day, and just I'll either run up to my mum's and have dinner there, or else I'll run to my dad's and just have dinner there. So it's not too bad, just grand enough.
I couldn't
Um,
I couldn't
but
live.
yeah, that's great. I'm so blessed that I'm not locked up with a family though.
Yeah, I couldn't totally be by myself in this whole lockdown. I think I'd lose the head big time. I mean, I'm
Yeah,
already sort of
definitely. I get
I'm already headed that way, but nah, when I'm alone with my own company, that's when I get into trouble.
it's true. How long can you do in your own though? I can do like about 2.5 days, and then I start to go, and I'm like, okay, I'll go out and meet someone else, and then when they annoy me, I'll just run back to the sanctity of my home.
So what I do is say I go away like to do gigs, and it's like a 5 day trip.
Hmm.
After about 3 days, if I haven't like met up with friends, if I'm in a new place, the second like another comedian that's on the bill or like the door guy like shows any interest in like how I'm doing, if he's like, so you from Ireland or whatever, the second somebody is, I'm like, this person is my best friend now, and I then have to just hang about with them. So I feel like I need to latch on to people quick. And
But do you feel like you need to latch on for like a social pressure, or you're like genuinely do enjoy it?
No, I do enjoy like. See, here's the thing: we love a good chat. Being from where we're from, we
Yeah.
just love to chat to people, and
Hmm.
especially Americans. Like, I was in Chicago about 3-4 months ago, and they didn't really have a green room backstage at the venue. So there's just like the sound guy's booth, and you can kind of leave your jacket in there if you wanted. So I walked in,
Hmm.
the guy starts chatting to me, but just making conversation. And I just like sat with the sound guy the entire night. And then towards the end of the night, he basically was like, "Oh yeah, no one ever really does this." And I was like, "Hey, let's go and get a coffee." So I just hung out with the sound guy all night. I feel like I need to be sociable. You know what I mean? Like I need to be
Yeah,
friends with somebody. Um,
true, true. That's good PR as well. I'll just get in because the sound guy he'll spread that about.
yeah.
Here he's actually dead on. So like long term, it's good as well to do stuff like that. I
What
always think
I mean, I feel like this
just give him
lockdown.
an outside thought.
I feel like this lockdown suits me a bit because I can keep making videos, put stuff out there, and it probably just suits you as well. You can probably still do what you're doing online anyway. In fact, you might have more time for
No, sure, I got the 60-day ban. I'm in the hole. I got a
it.
60-day Facebook ban.
How many times have
Why
you
did a
been
lot?
banned from Facebook? Because anytime I send you a message, I get a message on a different social media platform from you going, "Mate, I can't reply to you. I'm banned."
It's like Bugsy Malone's like Grand Slam, like the speakeasy. It's like, hey, come over here, pal. Like all the time. It started off like little 24-hour ones, but I think once you exhaust a few, they're like every ban you get is 30 days. But they hit me with a 60-day one
What for?
for a joke I made. In the joke was it was about because Dublin won the All Ireland, and I said even the UVF want Kerry to win at this point. And I got 60 days.
Do you think you were reported by the Dublin County Board or the UVF hierarchy?
I don't know. I thought both. I thought it was a good joke because it appealed to like both hardline loyalists and hardline GAA people, and it's hard to make both of those groups enjoy anything. You know,
Yes.
there's not much of an overlap. So
I
I was like, this is good outreach, but no, obviously not. 60 days isolation for me.
I mean, think of the person that reported you for that.
Madness. Yeah, it's hard to tell where they're coming from. They literally could be from any side of the political persuasion.
I got into a spat
Well,
online. What? Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, have you been banned before? Or have you been avoided it mostly?
I've not been banned before. I've had stuff deleted by Instagram, like all the time for nudity. And it's not like, I mean, I'm not putting pictures of my dick up. It's literally like the best one ever was whenever we were away from my stag do and I was on it. This sounds like the start of the shittest showbiz anecdote. I was on a pedalo out in the middle of the sea with Dave Elliott and Aaron Butler and in Magaluf. And we were out in the pedalo and Dave put on George Michael Careless Whisper on his phone. And I was wearing a pair of pink Speedos because, you know, on a stag do, they're like, mate, you have to wear this. And you know, the way
I've seen that picture on Instagram. It's nice. It's good.
yeah,
The abs are looking great.
guys get weirdly sexual. They're like, mate, put this on now for me and all, and I'll get a hard on. You're like, what? Well, we were on this pedalo, yeah, and I played some saxophone in my pink Speedos, and then dived into the water. And Instagram took that video down. And although to be fair, like a couple of people in my family messaged me and were like, "Don't have that down. I can just see your dick." I was like, yeah,
You need to get this down.
I
Do you
gotta
get like
do-
a ban time off? Do they say you
No,
can post or
no,
that's fine then?
I've
Like
never had
if
a
it's
ban.
illegal, man, report me to the police. Facebook, I don't mind, but who are you to like just make these mad sweeping judgments?
Yeah,
Zuckerberg.
I got into a spat last night with
Oh.
I put up a tweet about, you know, that whenever everyone applauded for the NHS stuff. So everybody went outside,
Yes.
applauded for the NHS staff. My wife's sister lives next door and is like proper NHS staff. So we're outside applauding. And then I put a tweet up saying, first grass cut of the year, unbelievable reception from everybody on the street. And this guy wrote back and said, and by the way, I don't mean like he wasn't like a 60-year-old triggered guy, you know, it wasn't like this was like a guy our age who wrote back like, mate,
Yeah.
there's a time and place for jokes, and this isn't it. And immediately I started seeing all these tweets, like people saying idiot and like what the fuck, and I was like, oh shit, I'm cancelled. And then I realized that all the tweets were just directed at that guy. Everybody was like, mate, don't
Oh,
be
that's so good.
dick.
That's so good.
Like especially in
Stuff
times
like
like
that
this.
really freaks me out. Oh,
Yeah,
it's so true.
I mean, people were just saying in times like this, there's more needs for jokes than ever. And I mean, the joke is not. He puts up right. He goes, I think there's a time and place for it, and I'm sure you'll agree, right? As if he's the guy who gets the pick, right? And I said,
Yeah.
I said that's what pissed me off about it. I said, mate, I literally made a video for the NHS like a couple of days ago, right? As if I was some
Yeah.
sort of anti-NHS guy. And he goes, mate, good to hear. You know, this is what pisses me off when people are like, mate, why you say that? And then you point out that the joke is fine. And then they're like, ah, nice one, mate. And they're making a joke. It's like, why in the first, you're clearly sound. So why in the first place were you trying to like,
It's so true. And they make you explain the joke as well. And yeah,
but
they're
I've
the
stopped
worst
doing
type of
that.
people.
I don't explain the joke anymore because you just move on. You don't have to. But this guy goes, I just feel like at this time, the NHS should be getting as much focus as possible. And I don't think jokes like that help. And I was like, mate, me making a joke about cutting my grass isn't taken away from the NHS.
Yeah, so true. So true. I definitely feel there's an air of like some people can't wait to jump down people's throats and like shame them for like doing anything. But it's not that they really care about social isolation.
No,
They just want to out people on like social media. Like it's like
because
they just can't wait to take a picture of somebody out like with two mates.
like as people pointed out, he's the one who's trying to take away from the NHS because he's trying to make it about him and Yeah, like I used to get really into comments. Like I'll reply to a couple of comments if I can think of a good reply. But like
Yeah.
I don't know. How do you find like because you post you're a prolific poster, like you put loads of stuff out
So,
and you're obviously gonna get positive and negative comments. But like people who get offended by jokes you make or whatever, do you engage?
generally, if it's like, I used to get involved in like back and forths quite a lot, and they were quite fun. But nowadays, usually, like they'll post something and then they get ripped apart by just the replies anyway. So it's like you send in the first wave of like loyal followers, and if they're still fighting quite a lot, you'll send in a heavy infantry. But usually they're taken out and they're sworn and they're smothered within a couple of replies. And usually like the people posting the replies always like are quite funny anyway. So it's
Yeah.
like it's like a war by proxy almost.
Yeah. I mean, do you get I guess what you would get it'd be more if you put up one of your stand up clips out because you're likely because that's more like crushing anytime somebody's like this is shit.
That's a
But
good point. Yeah.
if somebody puts like a comment on one of your tweets or posts or whatever, like personally at you, one of those like
Mhm.
does this dickhead think he's funny? Was there a point where
Yeah.
that ever made you be like, oh for fuck's sake?
Oh yeah, no, I got an absolute cracker before. There was a guy wrote and he like lured me in as well. He wrote like, mate, 100% usually a fan of your stuff. And I was like, oh great, this is gonna be just a resounding review. And it was after I think it was the Belfast Bible I had made, and I was like, oh, this is gonna be great. Everybody's gonna love this bizarre rendition of the Bible that made in Belfast. And the guy was like, usually love your stuff, but this was, and it was like 2 paragraphs of why it was shite, and I had like loads of like thumbs up and stuff. And it was brutal because it started off. He got my hopes up and then just sliced them right down. I was like, fair play, and part you destroyed me, like. But but genuinely, it was like valid criticism as well. I was like, there was a lot of kind of dead wood in it and stuff, and I could make it a little bit better. So it was
Yeah,
valid enough. But yeah,
but
sometimes they're absolutely crushing.
But at the same time, it's different if it's Jerry Seinfeld the comments from. If some guy's like, mate, you should be doing this or you need to be saying that or this could be better. It's like, definitely I appreciate when somebody's like, I just didn't like that. But the only time it
Yeah,
annoys me is when people start to go, here's what you should be doing.
yeah, I hate that. Yeah, it's the worst. But have you had any specifically very bad ones, or are you kind of immune to it now?
I'm very, very immune to it now. Like if I engage, like I'll ironically engage a lot and you'll get people like
Yeah,
what I love is when you put up really negative comments for a laugh and then people write back things like clearly you can't take it. And you're like, no, I 1,000% can take it. That's why I'm showing you. But I mean, I don't know. I wanted to ask you about you put up it's actually when you and I probably started chatting a wee bit online. You put up a crowdfunding project and like a bit of a trailer for a film called Tongued.
oh yeah.
So how long ago was that? Maybe like 3 years ago?
I think about 3.5 years ago, and then probably started planning it about 4 years ago. And then ever since then, we've got the ball rolling on it. And just recently, we were at a few meetings down in Dublin, and we have like a director and two producers as well. So we're at the moment now where the producers hopefully trying to get funding for it. But then obviously the whole Corona thing kind of happened, so it's kind of been put on hold. But it's in a good place at the minute, and
What's the story? What's
yeah,
the storyline?
the basic premise is it's like three young Protestant boys get kicked out of one of their classes in school, and the only place left is the Irish language class. And if they want to go on to university, they have to take the Irish language class. Long story short, they go up to the Gaeltacht and it's overrun by a murderous pagan cult, and they have to learn Irish or die. And it's a horror comedy called Tongued. So it should be good. Kind of in the same vein as like Shaun of the Dead. That type of it is quite horror. Does have a lot of horror elements, but also a lot of comedy too. But
What?
looking forward to it. It should be good.
What? Because what? Whenever you put that out a few years ago, like that post really popped off, and like people were like chatting about it, engaging with it. Was it that you sort of put that? Because I thought of doing crowdfunding stuff a lot, but was it when you put it out, the reality of it was like,
Mhm.
shit, maybe this takes more preparation than you thought.
Yeah, well, I think we ended up getting it was about 5 grand or something like that. And ended up using that to get artwork done, which then we kind of used to show to producers and stuff. But yeah, I kind of could tell the first day was really good, but then after that, it kind of lost like traction quite a bit.
Right, right.
Just I assume just got buried kind of in the algorithm. But yeah, it's the only real crowdfunding thing I've really done for a project like that. And yeah, I don't know. I suppose it didn't end up reaching the target. I don't see many people doing them as much anymore, but
No, it was massive. It
yeah,
was massive for a while, but I don't think it ever really took off here. You know, it's a wee bit like podcasts where we're always a wee bit late
yeah,
to the party. Like I feel like nowadays people in Northern Ireland are like, is anyone in these podcasts? You know, when people say it, they're
it's
like
so
they're the
true.
first ones to listen to it. Yeah, I find
There's
these
been so
guys
many
are on podcasts, but
there's been so many dodgy things on GoFundMe as well and stuff like absolute horror stories.
right,
Like
right,
people
right.
just taking the absolute piss as well. Is it still as big as it used to be, GoFundMe?
I don't
I don't
think
think
so.
it is
Probably
it?
for business, it's more, but like creative projects, I don't think they're. It's probably easier to make stuff now, and people are more sort of just. There's more of an attitude now, I reckon, of like, fuck it, we'll just make this ourselves
Yeah,
with
true,
no
true.
budget. But obviously, if you can get a budget and directors and that kind of thing, you want to do that. Like
Yeah, that'd be pretty good. Did you ever think of doing gaming videos yourself? Because obviously podcasts are a big thing, but I honestly think like gaming videos as well
gaming
will be
videos.
pretty big.
So
Like
I'm
gaming videos, like you get comedians to do. Like Conan O'Brien on the Clueless Gamer was the one he done.
well, I would that would be me because I'm about to drop a bombshell. I've never owned the console.
That's insane.
Never in my
That's so
life
cool.
have
You
I
never
owned
even
the
played
console.
Mario. Never even played like Mario or anything.
I've definitely played some games at like
Hmm.
friends' houses. You know, mates would have been like, "Do you want to play the
Yeah,
PlayStation?" And I go, "Yeah." And then I was always so bad at it that they would never invite me around again because a lot of popularity when you were a kid was based on how good
no
you
way.
were at games. And I remember like going around to a friend's house for the first time. He's like, "Come on round for a sleepover," and it was my mate's uncle. And I no, it was like another guy from school, and I remember playing James Bond GoldenEye, and it took me that
Oh.
long to like. I remember I was like, I'm getting the hang of this, and it would take me that long if I saw another person to like aim the gun, turn it round, find the person that I always got shot in the meantime. In fact, I'm pretty sure my
Yeah.
James Bond shot himself a few times.
Oh, I can't believe it. We'll have to get you to play some sort of game or get your reaction to it in some way. I
I'd,
think you would like it though.
I'd be well up for that. Do you know what I used to love playing at mates' houses? FIFA. Say you go around to your cousin's house and they had FIFA. I enjoyed that. I'm not very
Mhm.
good at it. And then I know people are like, oh, in FIFA, you can't do that thing where you're 2-on-1 with the goalkeeper and you pass it to the side and finish.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I can do. So I don't know. I mean, I play Football
It's
Manager on the PC or on the Mac, but that's kind of it. But that's a
that was a
mobile.
weird game. Football management was weird.
It's
Was it like
stat
a
based.
spreadsheet? It was like an
Stat
Excel
based, yeah.
spreadsheet, and you just
Yeah.
played it. That's madness. That's crazy. That's not a video game. That's just pushing the realms of a
It's
lot of.
it's not
That's
really
just an
adrenaline
office
gaming.
application.
It's more admin than adrenaline
Yeah.
gaming, you know, but I enjoy it. But yeah, we should do something because there is
Do
loads of comedians
you know
who
what always freak? We should 100%. It always freaked me out, like girls playing The Sims. Like, do you ever hear these stories? But and they'll do things like boys will play Call of Duty and shoot people, but girls will play The Sims and like make a room with no doors, so like a social worker comes. Do you know you are the game The Sims?
yeah, yeah,
The
yeah.
girls do the weirdest shit ever on The Sims. I swear to God, ask like your girlfriend or whatever if she's ever played The Sims. They always play The Sims and do weird like social shit, but boys always play like video games where you shoot people. It's honestly the weirdest stuff ever.
I do remember playing a lot of Lara Croft Tomb Raider for about a week whenever I was like 9. And there used to be a thing you could do in this. I think loads of people did it, where you could like trick the butler into coming into like the
Yes.
freezer, and then you could leave, and he never was able to leave the room. I enjoyed that immensely.
It that's so weird you say. I literally posted the other day about a screen grab of that Butler from the PlayStation 1 game on my Twitter, and I said like I won't be putting him in there until this whole thing's cleared up with Corona, just to like we're in this together. Like such an obscure reference, and like loads of people were still loving it. You know,
My mom used to
stuff like
play this
great.
game. Like my mom's like definitely not a gamer, but she had this
Mhm.
PC game, and it's so unlike my mom to like have had this like PC game. But she used to have this game called Commander Keen, and it was
Oh,
fucking brilliant. It was on Commander King. Definitely sounds like a guy who's in the UDA, but it was like
it
it was
does, isn't
not
it?
that. It was like a cartoon character who used to. I guess it would have been a wee bit like Sonic in a way. You know, you were like you're always trying to go up to different levels. You were trying to dodge things, and I never heard about it since. But Commander King was unreal.
Commander King. I have to check it out. You should play Rome Total War. Is absolutely fantastic. You're like essentially you're like a Roman governor, and you'll fight other like different like the barbarians and whoever at the time period. But you can also manage your own settlements. So you can tax how much, like, you'll take over a village and you'll tax them how much you want. But if you tax them too much, they'll start rebelling. But if they start rebelling, you can like just wipe the whole city out and start from scratch again. Like, it's a proper power trip. It's really, really good.
Okay, Grand Theft Auto was like that a bit. I think I remember somebody lent me a PlayStation. Maybe like my cousin was going away on holiday, lent me his PS2 because I remember playing a good bit of Grand Theft Auto. But I mainly just
Yes.
like what I would do is drive like out of the city, find like a quiet spot, and just like
Just chill out.
just browse the radio channels. And then then I discovered Spotify. So I was like, I don't need to keep doing this.
So you just unsplit, like, no wanted level, just clear in the head, like police officers being like, "Oh, Shane, what's the crack? All good?"
Yeah,
Like, "Oh,
yeah,
sweet,
yeah.
sweet."
I was
Yeah.
very, very orderly. Like, in fact,
We used to do
I was helping people change tires in Grand Theft Auto.
you were like letting people go ahead. Go on, no, go ahead, love. Actually, go ahead. No, 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 you're fine, you're fine. You pull ahead. We used to, one of my cousins, like my mum for whatever reason was like super strict about like ratings on video games. So like I was about 8 and she like wouldn't let me play any of the Grand Theft Autos. Probably
I mean,
rightfully
totally
so. To be
fair.
fair.
Totally fair.
Yeah, completely understandable.
Mum, you're
But
sly.
I
I'm trying to
remember
murder this prostitute.
she was put in like a really awkward position though, because one of my cousins gave me a lend of it in front of the auntie, so she couldn't like be like, "No,
Yeah,
you,
this is
it's not good for my son, but you." But so my mum watched me playing it, and I was doing kind of what you were saying. I was driving the speed limit, trying not to bump into people. And as soon as she went to bed, I just went to like a discotheque with a machine gun. I was like proper. Just as soon as she was turned her back, it was psychopath season. And probably worse than normal, because like I was panting up. I was like, I can't wait to give these people hell. Like, she's the only thing saving you people right now.
your mom's
And they
like
got it. They
your
got it
mom's
good.
watching you, being like, "My son is such a nerd. You're just farming
Yeah.
potatoes. You're just going in the shops, having a good time."
Going about my normal life, yeah. She's like, "But why is he stockpiling weapons? This is a bit weird." You're like, "I don't worry about that. That's all good."
It's an amnesty scheme he's helping the PSNI out with.
He's collecting them off people. He's taking them out of the community.
Do you know what would be unreal? I'd say for young loyalists at the minute who are just bored in lockdown. Bonfire Builder, the game.
Oh, that would be great, wouldn't it?
Like The Sims, a mixture of The Sims and Grand Theft Auto. You just go about stockpiling, and then at the end you get to like virtually light your bonfire. That
That
would
would
sell
be good.
well.
What is the gameplay like? You actually embody a loyalist, or it's just you're this eye in the sky that just like drops bricks and kind of builds shit? It's like, oh, this piece. It's like Tetris, but for loyalism. Like, it's
No, you're the big eye in the sky, and it's Johnny Adair's eye, and
yeah.
and yeah,
Oh my god,
you sort of you control it all from an aerial view.
that would be fantastic.
Bonfire Builder by EA Games, or no, EA Sports. Is that what it is? I'm 70. That's
Okay.
good.
If you want to light up with like a Molotov, it's like a $20 token you have to unlock by like a pay to play type thing. Like, they'll sell all the add-ons. It's good. It's a moneymaker. I like it. It's good.
Yeah, I want to ask
Do you
you
ever
about.
remember the oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, you go ahead. You go ahead, because I'm not ready to move
I was
on.
gonna say, do you ever remember the Pro Evolution Soccer FIFA split in school? And it was like some of the kids would play Pro Evo and the others would play FIFA, and they proper like didn't get on.
I found that the kids who liked FIFA were probably more financially stable than
Yeah,
because the Pro Evo kids didn't care about the names of the players and the clubs and stuff. They're just like, they're happy to be getting an escape of playing the computer.
I know.
The richer kids were like,
It's so true.
I'm not. No, it needs to be. It's Manchester United or nothing. I
I
personally,
100%.
I couldn't play a game that named the teams all different things. I hated it.
Manchester Red was just like an insult. I guarantee the guy was like, "I have 15 minutes left before I clock off. I'm not putting any effort into this whatsoever."
Yeah, is that still
Red?
a thing? Is Pro Evo still going?
I think they topped out for a while, but I think there was like rumblings of them coming back. But Sega announced some soccer game, and it's like a Japanese soccer game, and it's completely just mental. It's not realistic whatsoever, but it's how it looks proper good. You play a bit of Irish League, don't you?
I don't play Irish League, but I play like local amateur football, and then I get involved with like Irish League charity games because a lot of the guys who play are like slightly older now, so it's easier for me to try and look somewhat decent,
Nice. Is that like, what league is that? I know the St James's Swifts. They're like the one like near me that everyone kind of loves, but I think they're quite low. They're like one of the lower They just play in the false part. Is that kind of that kind of thing?
No, they don't. You're making them sound like they just like they bring a few tins down and set up some jumpers for goalposts.
So I want to get slapped.
They're good. No, they're not Irish League, but like the difference between the top Irish League and the League St James's would be in isn't massive. Um, no, like where I play would be say like Irish League's here, St James Swifts are here, my league would be there. So it's called the Newcastle
Oh,
County Down. Newcastle County Down Premier League, sponsored by McCall's Tiles, is the league I play in.
oh, nice. Nice wee plug. Very
Pick that
good.
name.
Does it ever happen you'll be playing a match and some guy will be like, "I was fucking Shane Todd," and he's like, doesn't know that you actually play football, or does that happen?
1,000%. 1,000%. The worst one is, right, we play a team twice a year in our league and they always get a big crowd. 99% of games we play, zero spectators are there. It's just like the subs and the managers. But there'll be the odd game where some teams do have like 30, 40 down watching. And there's a team we play and the local kids always come down. And it's as soon as we kick off, where's Bunter? Keith, where's Bunter? And see if I'm having a good game. It's class because like the kids are loving it. If I'm starting to have a bit of a nightmare, they turn very quickly and they get on your back. You're shite. What are you playing football for? And it really gets in my head. Like, so yeah, you do get some people do a bit of a double take, but then and people always go, "You're not doing any jokes tonight," and I always without fail go, "I'll be doing something for the next 90 minutes, mate." Always gets a reaction. Always gets a reaction. I'm
It's
dead
good to
behind
have
the
a
eyes
few
doing
in
it.
the barrel.
Huh?
It's good to have one in the chamber. Just to blast off at them.
You have to,
Good.
yeah. Zippers, as we don't have any sponsors at the minute with this whole lockdown coronavirus situation, I am just doing a charity read during the podcast, giving a quick shout out to either a local charity or an individual raising money for a great cause. We'll go back to the podcast after this, but just let me say, I've been speaking to Mark Ritchie recently on Twitter. He set up a GoFundMe page to try and raise some money for the NHS frontline workers to buy PPE supplies with the proceeds. He's raised $3,000 so far, and he's going live from his house this Saturday night, hoping to raise 10 grand. The more publicity, the better. And then he says, "Love your work, by the way." Now, you guys didn't need to know that, and he didn't mean for me to read that out, but he said it. All right, so he said it. He's had some coverage in the Sunday papers, which is brilliant, and the link to his GoFundMe page is coming up. We'll also post it in the description of this episode. But yeah, the man's raised 3,692 quid. I mean, this is what it's all about. I'm aware there's a lot of fear and panic around, and a lot of it justified. But you have people like this who are, and thousands like him, people like Mark, who are just doing their bit to raise whatever they can, and that's got to be respected. His page is called NHS Workers Support Fund. I'll post a link to it. It'll be in the description of the audio podcast and the YouTube video as well. That'll make it easier. And yeah, Mark's basically doing I think he's doing like a big party from his living room. I think he's doing a bit of a DJ set. Now I might have that totally wrong, and if I have, I apologise to absolutely everybody involved. But the event's taking place on Saturday the 4th of April. So we'll post a link to it. If that sounds like something you want to support, follow that. And now we go back to the pod. You have to have stock lines.
That is.
I want to chat to you a bit about stand up as well. So did you start getting into stand up about 3 years ago? 2 years ago?
See, about 2 years ago, in the pavilion was the first time I'd done it. I think a lot of people do theirs.
It was my
They make
second
their
ever
bones.
gig. Yeah,
Oh, where was your first?
in the Black Box.
Oh, nice.
And what's mad is everybody that was on, and that was 13 years ago, I think. Everybody that was on that bill
No
is
way.
still doing stand up, and that's not common. Because I mean, if I showed you my first 20 gig lineups, you would recognize about 4 names on it because people just come and go with stand up. But it's mad that everybody who was on that day is still doing stand up. Like I still perform regularly with quite a lot of those guys.
I think I seen. Is that a picture of like you, Mickey, and Colin? And it's like from ages and ages and ages ago. Like,
no, Colin
is it
didn't.
not?
Colin just started gigging about. If I've been gigging for like 13 years, he's maybe been like 7 or 8. No,
Oh,
maybe
okay.
maybe more, maybe 9. or so. But I didn't even know about Mickey. I didn't know anybody my age did stand up when I started. First couple of gigs I did, it was just guys probably my age now, but when I was like 18, 19, they seemed like way older. And then like I met Mickey, Sean Hegarty, and then we did a sketch show for BBC with Colin, and he said he'd always like been thinking about doing
Oh,
stand
was
up.
that lol?
Lol, ironically named Lol.
I love lol.
Ironic title,
Big fan, big fan.
but Colin said like he'd
Yeah.
wanted to stand up, and then we sort of bullied him into it, and the rest is history. So were
How did
you?
you get into it? Did you just like deliberately wanted to go in? Sorry, I'm like asking you the questions.
No, no,
Apologies.
it's good. I went to Belfast Met. I went to tech and was enjoying like making films and started getting a wee bit more confident, like being in front of the camera, because we made like shit student films, like all students. Well, not all students, but like definitely our class. We used to just make terrible films that because we would like
Yeah.
we would be told, all right, you've got a week to make a film, and we'd be like, right, there's four of us, we're 17 years old, we have one camera, let's make a full western. Nobody was ever like, let's just be realistic about what we can shoot. We're always like,
Do you
no,
know? Do you know what I love about those films is like, and you don't really get this as much anymore with like the TikToks and stuff. It was like the terrible continuity errors and stuff you would get in student films like that. That was so funny. Just shit that would be like, what the fuck? It was like, where's he standing? And it'd be like everything would change in 2 seconds. I
your main
used to love going to like,
your
yeah,
main
it was
actor had
great.
to go for a dentist appointment, so he was like played by somebody different in the next scene. There was always a boom pole in shot, always a boom pole.
Oh, always, always.
And
So,
people
so
and
good. And
people
then
were always not walking at the start of a scene. At the start of a walking scene, they're not walking, and then they start walking like a split second after you start.
or like a car pulls out and you see the whole camera crew with like holding the camera and like the boom, just everything like for a split second. No,
I
they were the best.
I wish I could see the sort of films we made. I wish I could, because you know Michael Foster, who like shoots a lot of my
Yeah.
stuff. Michael was in my class, so we made loads of these films together, and I just wish we could
Oh,
still
that's
see them.
brilliant.
He
His
still
stuff's
thinks he's
really
doing
good
so
now.
much. Oh yeah, he's a magician. We've got a sketch coming out tonight, which I'm very excited about. Um, but yeah, so I'd love to see some of those. And are you wanting to do more stand up? Is that something you want to get more into? Are you enjoying just doing like a bit of?
Yes. No, I'm really enjoying the stand up. I've been wanting to write like kind of like a 30, 40 minute long kind of set because I've been hovering around 15 to 20 minutes. I just haven't really got the time. Well, I've just been too lazy to properly do it yet. But now is a good excuse. So, yeah, hoping to aim for like about a 40-minute set and then work my way up from there. But no, I haven't enjoyed it. I think like there's certain nights and stuff like the Lavery's one as well. That was the last gig I kind of done. It's always like just so fun doing there. I always find that really good fun. Where
Lavery's is
else?
the
The
last
one
gig
on
I saw yet. Lavery's the last gig I
yes, I
saw
think so.
yet, and it was a belter. You had a great set, but I think
I
you're
loved it. It was good.
I think you're right, but in terms of not forcing it, like even you were saying about having the same set for a while, it's definitely a better thing to do that than to go, I need to put on a 1 hour show. Like I'd say like 5 years ago, maybe less, everybody who was
Mm-hmm.
not long in the stand up suddenly was doing an hour. And while like that's always commendable, I think just always enjoy being like, doing 7 minutes, doing
Yeah,
10, 15, because the longer you do that, then when you do yours, you've got all that experience behind you. But like
yeah, so
Aaron
true.
Butler as well, who was gigging all the time and then took a 7 year break from stand up and has got back into it.
Did he? I never knew Aaron took a 7 year break. What? That's crazy.
Aaron did a reality TV show called Find Me the Funny with Mickey, Sean Hegarty, and a couple others. Do you know anything about this show?
I think I seen someone posting a clip of it before.
Yeah.
Did they audition together? No, or something?
Uh, Me and Aaron, it came down to me and Aaron as the last two to get a place on the show, and he got it. So I despised him for many years. Uh, no, I didn't. Well, I did kind of, but yeah, it was like every comedian in the country auditioned to be on this show, and they picked 12 people. Some had been always doing stand up, some were new, some had never done it, and he was one of them.
Mm-hmm.
And then Yeah, he was gigging a lot, but he just felt like he wasn't getting a lot out of it. He wasn't enjoying it. So he quit, but then we just kept being friends and he was friends with Dave and then he joined the FNT, that sketch group. And so he was always still mates with stand up. He was always around the stand up scene. And then I sort of kept on at him. I mean, that's what I always do to mates. If they
Yeah.
if you know somebody wants to do stand up, but you know they want to be talked into it, I'll be that guy. You know, I'm always like,
Mhm.
even when you meet people at gigs, like I've always thought about gigging. I'll always be like, just do it, see how it goes. Always just do it.
Yeah. I
And
always find like doing I find it very similar to that quote in Fight Club when he talks about how he's been to Fight Club a few times and he goes into the office and he says like the noise of everything is just toned down and you can just handle like situations a lot better. I
yeah,
always find like if you're just off the back of quite a good gig, you just feel like so you could handle any conversation with anybody. Like it genuinely is an addictive kind of feeling you get afterwards. Like I'm so glad I got into it.
and that's why it's good to go to as many places as possible. Like
Mm.
up and down the country, go down south. You know, I know there's guys go to Dublin a lot. Just as many different crowds as you can experience. Because if you always play Laveries, you'll be
Mm-hmm.
brilliant with the Laveries crowd, but you might do, you know, some sort of gig somewhere else that's totally different, or vice versa. You know, people might just do these like more sort of alternative, if you want to call it that, type nights, and then
Yeah.
you do somewhere like Laveries or Pugs with
Mm-hmm.
like a real comedy savvy crowd, and you find that it's out of your comfort zone. So I think it's good. And that even like if I go to a show, or back in the day you did a show and it's a total bear pit and it's shit and you get nothing, there's always a takeaway from that of like, right,
Yeah.
I'll be better for this. Like at the
Yeah.
time, you're
What's
not
the
thinking that at the
what's the
time.
worst you went through?
The worst.
Yeah. Is there any
Me,
specific like?
Mickey Bartlett, Sean Haggerty, Colin Geddes did a gig. Now
It's a good
that's a
lineup.
good lineup. That's a good lineup. This was in, I mean, that lineup could play theaters uh, up and down the country. This was in a bar in Derry Macash, which is in between Lurgan and Craigavon. And it, we went on. Sean was emceeing, I think, and we were all going to do like 20 minutes, and Colin was going to headline with half an hour. Because it was kind of like I Am Fighter was really, really in its peak, like in terms of
Yeah.
comedy, putting the videos out. He was still putting them out then, like regularly, the I Am Fighter videos. So they kind of booked him for an I Am Fighter type comedy night, and we would come and
Mhm.
sort of support at those and jump on those lineups. And you could tell sometimes you go to a place never had comedy before, like a village or a town, and they're really grateful that you've come. So the audience is really nice because they almost are performing for you. They're almost trying to show the comedians like you could have a good comedy club here. But then
Yeah.
like this where they go, fair fucks to you for thinking you can come here and make us laugh. You know, we're the funny ones here. So immediately we go on and it's hostile and everybody is answering back to every line that you do. Everyone thinks it's a comedy. They also probably have never seen stand up before, so they don't know the etiquette. So they're not
Yeah.
interested in you doing their stuff. They think it's a conversation. So Sean goes on first, struggles. I think I go on, do a bit of my material doesn't work, so I do a bit of crowd stuff. Like I'm always confident doing crowd stuff, and like if somebody's being a prick in the front row, like I'm always feel like I'm fit for them, and I start going at this guy, and he's definitely paramilitary, and I'm mugging him off
Oh
like a
fuck.
lot, and he's loving it, and it's working, but they don't know that once you cut somebody down, that's it. You know, this just opens a can of worms that I can't close. So I start slagging him, and then somebody at the back knows him and they shout something. And I remember being on stage and I was to do 20 minutes and I walked off at about 4 and I felt sweat going down my back. And I've never had that on stage.
Oh Jesus.
So
That's so bad.
I can't control the crowd at that gig. Mickey does a really quick set, which isn't like him. Colin goes on to do to do like half an hour and does maybe like 10. And by the way, he just basically goes on. Everybody's like, you know, Barry the Bender, where's Thomas? And then he like leaves the stage. And it's one of those ones where annoyingly everybody's like, that was some fucking night, lads, unreal. And we're like, was it? Like,
Yeah. Well, what
some
was like
night?
15 minutes in total?
What do you find? the reaction with having such a big online presence as you do with the Barrack Boys, and the fact that
Mhm.
I know it's called the Barrack Boy now, but I never knew what the Notorious Barrack Boys was. I thought it was like a group of yous who
Yeah.
controlled the page. So how does that translate into stand up? Like, do you get people that? Of course, you get people who come down if you're in a bill. If you post it out, people go, "Oh, I must see this fella live." Do people think
Yeah.
it's going to be different to what it is? If that makes sense.
Yeah, well, initially a lot of people thought it was like a group of people who
I
made
did.
it, but the reason, well, understandable, it's like it says boys in it instead of like just singular. But back in the day, when I was doing film studies in Queens, this is like where the name comes from. We had to make like a little, we were just doing short films, and we had to make our own little production company name. And a lot of people were picking very pretentious stuff like Crystal Lake and like, silver reflections and shit. And I said, I'm going to call mine the Notorious Barrack Boys because around about that time during the summer, we would all bring barracks and people would say, oh, there's the Barrack Boys, just
Ah,
because it was
right, right, yeah.
a cheap thing to drink. And I just said, I'll call it the Notorious Barrack Boys. That'll be my film production name. And then just made like kind of like Belfast comedies. And then called it the Notorious Barrack Boys, and then just made a Facebook page to kind of post links to the YouTube stuff. But then Facebook was just kind of blowing up with memes. It was kind of like the early onset of meme culture. And then I was like, well, this is an easy way to get a lot of likes and kind of promote things that I'm working on. And then it just kind of went from there. And then people kept asking me to do stand up, which I had no intentions of ever doing. I always loved stand up, but it hadn't really. I loved doing more like acting comedy, but then kind of got into doing the stand up and really enjoyed doing that too.
Yeah.
But you started off doing acting kind of comedy, didn't you? You
No, started off doing stand up and then did like a wee bit of acting and like thought I wanted to be a presenter. I was trying to do anything basically. I thought
mm,
maybe I want to be a TV presenter, and I was kind of like spreading myself pretty thin. And then
yeah.
I decided to focus just on stand up for a good few years. And
mm,
then now in the last like 2 3 years I've gone, okay, I feel like I've given stand up enough to, I feel like I can keep doing stand up and some a couple other wee things. So I want to do acting. I like
Yeah.
podcasts, but I don't want to be a TV presenter. Although I did do something recently that was really, really, really presentery, but I just kind of did it to see what it would
mm,
be like, and I
yeah.
enjoyed it, but I wouldn't do it again.
By presenter, do you mean you had to put on kind of the voice? Like like it's not your own. Yeah, I hate in the voice. The voice
I
is the worst.
did.
See, to be fair, the only exception to that is I've started doing like fight announcing at like
Yeah, I
local
saw that.
MMA
Yeah.
events.
Yeah.
And I really enjoy it, like the kind of Bruce Buffer thing. But that's a voice you put on, but I like it. It's funny.
Yeah, but to do that, you kind of have to doing that ring announcing and stuff, and it
Yeah,
sounds good when
yeah,
you do it. Whereas I would
yeah.
argue that with TV presenting, you can do like a voiceover for like a nice piece, but you can do your own voice, I think. But I get it
True, true.
that when you go
Hey,
to
What age?
theater,
What
you need more.
what age were you when you got involved in the Battle of the Bone? What age was that? Was that one of the first things you kind of acted in?
Yeah, it was the first. Apart from we student things, that was the first thing I ever did. I was
Because you
18.
18, because you know that story you have. I seen it in your stand up. It was really great about the Xbox Live
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
pop up.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so whenever that happened, I worked with the projector, or well, I worked with him in Titanic Belfast, but he done the projector that night. So
Right.
he's the guy who like hooked up the Xbox to the thing, and he told me like from his perspective that story, and then I seen your stand up, and they both matched up like 100%, and I was just laughing my balls off so much
That's
when I
good.
heard it.
I
It's one
love
of
it.
my favorite stories.
I love it when you can verify a stand-up story. Like it makes it
Yeah,
funnier when
true,
somebody's like,
true.
"Oh my god, that he being serious." Like that did happen. Uh,
He said he just rocked up with a DVD, and he's like, "Mate, do you think we play like DVDs?" And all he was like, "No, what the fuck?"
I might put up that Battle of the Bone stand-up clip again because what I've
I
been doing
love it. It's so
in this
funny.
in this lockdown is trying to put up new videos, but then the odd time I'm putting something out from like way back in the day that people might not have seen if they're new to the
Mhm.
page or whatever. So I think I'll stick up that Battle of the Bone clip because yeah, that was. I
Yeah,
mean, at the time that was great to do. That's a bit like what you're saying, like a low budget film and at a 10 grand budget, which was great at the time,
yeah.
and it was in Northern
But to
Ireland.
be fair, like I mean, we're still speaking about it all these years later. So like
Yeah,
for
it was
10 grand, it's
it,
class. I love it. It's just a B
it was
movie. It's
cult.
great.
It was cult. You know what
Yeah,
I
it's
mean?
just like it's a great B movie.
And it's
And it's so amateurish as well. It's forgivable.
yes, yes, and even like like that kind of put, and this is a criticism of myself, it put me off acting for years and years and years because I'd never done it, and I thought you just start doing it. I was like, I have
What,
this gift
what,
to act, and it turns out I don't. I have to learn how to do
what acting? There's about 15 minutes of dialogue in a 2 hour film.
it. And an hour and a half of running. I mean, I'm
About
surprised I
20.
didn't get a deal with Reebok after it. I
The double flag throw is it should be a Mortal Kombat finisher.
I remember reading that in the script and going, because we would get the script on the day. You know, you got the
Mm-hmm.
script on the day. You never like read through. You didn't, because it had to be done on the fly. There just wasn't the budget to do it.
Yeah.
And I remember reading that on the last day in the script. Shane jumps off the church steps with an Irish flag and a British flag and impales the main zombie. And by the way,
Brilliant.
this is no joke. So if you haven't seen Battle of the Bone, which is real, in case anybody's watching, going, "Is this a joke?" It was a Northern Irish independent martial arts zombie movie that I did, and I like acted in. And when I do that scene where at the very end, spoiler alert, I jump off the top of May Street church steps and impale the zombie with the two flagpoles. In the script, I was supposed to somersault and do that, and I said to them, "Are you going to do that with a stunt double or in post production?" And the director went, "Could you not give it a go?"
Give
And
it
I
a go.
said,
They're like stone steps as well.
"Yeah, also, I can't somersault. I've never tried it. I don't
Yeah.
think that was the time to give it a go." Um, but yeah, that was, I mean,
So, was the script released kind of day by day, like the same way they did with Return of the Jedi, just in case the press got wind of it and like kind of outed
yeah,
like the
there's a
plot?
lot of similarities with Battle of the Bone and Return of the Jedi for sure. No, I think it's because the guy who made it, George Clark, was doing a lot of basically everything himself. He didn't have like producers and that kind of thing, so I think it was difficult to like. He was maybe having to rewrite stuff all the time and change things because location might have changed at the last minute, so it was very much done on the hip.
Yeah.
But that put me off.
The whole scene with the in shops that was great. You
That
know that
was
whole scene with running through the in shops, crazy.
See, that was the first thing that we filmed for it, and the press really picked up on it, and there was loads of
Mm.
pictures in the newspapers, and I was like, "Fuck, this is it." I was like, "I'm good
Yeah.
after this." Like financially, I was like, "I can take a weight off. You know, this is going to lead to so
This
much
is it.
stuff." Um,
Plain sailing from here on in. We made it.
I'm
Tight
glad it did though, because
check.
it made me evaluate what I was doing after it, and that again is personal criticism because I was like, "Oh, I thought I
Did
could
you
act,
uh
but I can't."
did you ever audition for Mickey Bo and Me? I auditioned for that and got to like the final stages of one of
That was
the
a great film.
bullies. No, fart face was that one? One of the bullies. I was close to getting to the fart face role, but never landed it. Never landed. I came in my big break.
That's going to be the name of your autobiography. Could have been Fart Face.
Could have been fart face.
Mickey Bomey is a class film. I mean, the reason why I would love to see you make tongued and why I want to make films myself, like one I'm writing at the minute, is because once in a while those films from here come along. Mickey Bo and Me, Man About
Yeah,
Dog.
I
Uh,
love Man Like Dog.
Man About Dog was I mean, they're like timeless those, and everybody just
Yeah,
that's just class. You know what I
you know
mean?
he's
And
such a good actor, Brendan. What's that boxer, Brendan? He's the boxer in Man About Dog. Well, sorry, he is a boxer, but he plays the hard man in Man About Dog.
is it Marty Rogan?
Uh, Marty Rogan. Sorry, yes, Marty Rogan. Yeah, he's such a good like hard man. He's like our Vinnie Jones.
Yeah, that's because he's not acting.
Yeah, true, true.
But
I
yeah,
wish
I
he was in
mean,
more stuff. Yeah, he's great.
yeah, I mean, I, this might be a good time, this lockdown, to like look at sort of scripts that everybody has that you're like, maybe
Mm-hmm.
want to do something with this. Like, there's literally no excuse now. And I've had like a film script knocking about like a few pages of one, and
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I really need to just get the finger out and get that written.
Yeah, nice, 100%. Have you had basic premise and stuff? Are you beyond that? Or you've written down stuff, or how far have you
Yeah,
gotten?
I've got about 15 pages written. I'll send you it over.
Nice,
See what
nice.
you think.
Yeah, please do, please do.
It's again, it's
That'd
like
be great.
yeah, it's set in Belfast and
I always think I would love to be a writer. Like it'd be great. So it's set in Belfast. What's right?
set in Belfast, in the 90s.
Nice, nice.
My favorite time in terms of fashion, music, all that kind of stuff. And I just kind
That
of
that '90s Vogue is great.
I was about to film. I've kind of worked with a few mates on it, just sort of showing it to them, see what they think. And we were going to film some stuff like kind of now. Uh,
Hmm.
so this the lockdown kind of will be good and bad for it, because it's bad that we can't film that taster, but means I can write more of it and maybe have a script there ready to go.
Yeah, true. Like, I don't know the etiquette of the lockdown. Like, can we go to each other's homes and film content there, or is that even too much? You can't even be at
Not at
that.
the minute. Not at the minute.
It's mad. I'm so afraid of getting shamed. I'm so afraid someone's going to be like, "Oh, Cormac went to the shop twice. Look, what a rat."
Yeah. I mean, if you did, definitely at PSNI check this out.
Yeah,
But no,
he's
I,
the
I
kill.
think I think it's more so people don't take the piss out of it. Like they put guidelines in place. I think people actually are being pretty good about it.
Yeah,
There is that element. Like it's good that we're thinking like, fuck, what are people going to think if I'm out for an hour and 5 minutes here instead of an hour? I think that's the idea, just to get people like properly
yeah,
thinking about
true.
it. But
But
I'm
I feel so sorry for like people locked up with about like 8 people in their house. Like, in some two up, two down house, and like,
oh
and you're just,
oh
oh, I'm
we
so
used
glad I'm
to
on my own here.
me and my wife were saying we used to rent on a flat in East Belfast, like our first place. And it's like your first place, you think it's class, but it was like a shoebox. It was like a couple of rooms, ground floor flat, and just actually now having like we have a small garden now, like a wee bit of a garden. But even that is like I'm very, very grateful for that, just to be able to go stretch the legs, like do a workout, kick a football. But I broke my
Yeah.
keepy up record today. Broke my keepy up record today.
Oh,
Two
nice.
two hundred and sixty eight,
What
mate.
was it?
268.
No way.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
insane. That's like, it's like,
Big
oh,
man.
my brother's mate, that's 200. And you're like, no way. When you're a kid, you're like, no way. That's brilliant.
I'll hit 300. Although everybody's trying to do this tea bag challenge where you get like a cup and a tea bag. You kick the tea bag into the cup. Like say like 6 feet away or whatever. Tried to do it for about 4.5 minutes.
Is the tea bag moist?
Hmm. What do you
Is
say?
the tea bag moist? Is the tea
No,
bag
no,
wet?
no.
I couldn't imagine a dry tea bag
No,
has
it's
every
dry.
weight.
I know it's dry, but you can kind of scrunch it a wee tiny bit. I know. I'm gonna work on it tonight.
Is this what
Um,
it's to send? Is this what it's to send it to?
yeah, yeah. Is there anything, if people want to check out your page, Facebook, Notorious Barrack Boys, you have loads of stuff on YouTube as well.
Yeah, just if you type in the Barrack Boy, generally anything will come up on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and my Facebook page.
And
Banned for 60 days, but I'll get a workaround for the old Facebook page. Zuckerberg can't hold me down.
free the Barrack one.
100%.
All
It
right.
happens too often. It's a disgrace. Yeah, but send me that script over as well.
Well,
I'd
I
love to read
will.
it.
And I'd like to see tongued.
Yes, 100%. I shall get it over to you.
All right. Right. Well, cheers. Thanks for doing the podcast, mate.
Yes, absolute pleasure. Absolute pleasure. Good
See
crack.
you soon.
All right.
Bye.
See you later. Bye.
There we go, sippers. This week's Tea With Me episode, the second episode of the week. If you missed the Eamon Holmes episode, you can go back, check that out. What a guy, Eamon Holmes. Holmes Under the Hammer. We talked about it all. Check out that episode. 2 episodes coming up a week. Also, the Patreon. If you want to listen to the Monday episode of the podcast, it only comes out on Patreon. Patreon.com/teawithmepodcast. You can sign up. You get a load of great stuff there. If you want to sign up, support the podcast in that way, that would be sweet. If not, just enjoy these Wednesday, Friday episodes. I've been thinking, and I don't want to say I'll do this and then not do it, because I'm a man of my word. But I will say this: when the whole lockdown thing's over, hopefully when things go back to some sort of normal, I think I want to keep doing the Wednesday, Friday thing. It is a bit of a commitment. I know people are going, man, it's talking for an hour. I'm sure you have time. When I did the Shane podcast, which was kind of the podcast before this, it was a real struggle to motivate myself to do them, and not in any sort of deep way. It was just like, I was doing it all by myself, the recording, putting it up, arranging a guest. I don't think I ever had a guest, but all that kind of thing. But now that we've got a wee bit of a team here, it makes it a lot easier. All I have to do is drink tea and be an idiot, and I'm very, very good at being an idiot and drinking copious amounts of tea. So I think we'll keep it up to 2 episodes a week. I'm really, really loving this podcast at the minute. I'm enjoying doing it. I'm enjoying the feedback. You know, we've got a community of sippers now, and that's what we do. We just sit and sip. And when people say, man, do you want to meet up for a coffee? We say, fuck off, because we sip tea. We don't drink coffee, even though I, like many of us, also drink coffee. Thank you very much for listening. The podcast is back on Wednesday of next week, where my guest is none other than Jamie Dornan. On Friday, my guest is Wayne McCulloch. So it's a big, big week for the podcast. Thank you very much for listening, watching, spreading the word. I appreciate that. And I'll see you later.